सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और अपने सेविंग्स को आगे बढ़ने का मौका दीजिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
It's a common belief that people of India vote differently when it comes to electing Narendra Modi as the Prime Minister and when they have to choose their Chief Ministers. That is to say, when Modi seeks their votes for himself, they don't think twice. But when he seeks votes for his nominees in states, the same voters are more circumspect and don't necessarily oblige him. So what's behind this widely held belief? It's coming from 2019 Lok Sabha election. In December 2018, the BJP was dislodged from power in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. Barely 5 months later, when the same people went out to vote in the Lok Sabha election, they voted overwhelmingly for the BJP to give another term to Prime Minister Modi. In fact, since 2019 also, many surveys have shown that Modi's popularity is only increasing, even if the BJP might have lost in some states. This also validates that belief that if people vote differently when it's about Modi's prime ministership, but they do not necessarily vote for the party in the assembly elections. I am saying not necessarily because BJP-led governments did get re-elected in several states. The general response to Saturday's verdict of the Karnataka assembly election has followed the same pattern, that the BJP's loss in Karnataka means nothing for the 2024 Lok Sabha election. The principal argument is that regardless of who the Kannadigas voted for in the 2023 assembly election, they have consistently voted for the BJP in the last 4 Lok Sabha polls. So out of 28 Lok Sabha seats in the state, the BJP won 18 in 2004, 19 in 2009, 17 in 2014, and finally 25 in 2019. But this argument holds true for the last 4 elections only. Once each when Atal Bihari Vajpayee and Manmohan Singh were the Prime Minister, and twice when Modi has been the PM. Before 2004, the 3 Assembly and Lok Sabha polls had seen the domination of one party in both elections. The Congress dominated both in 99 when there were simultaneous election. Janata Dal before that, so in 94 Assembly election, Janata Dal dominated, and 96 Lok Sabha election also, and then the Congress in both elections in 1989. Even that trend held up for 3 Assembly and Lok Sabha polls only, because the people had voted differently in the 1984 Lok Sabha and 85 Assembly elections. You might remember, you know how the Congress had swept the 84 Lok Sabha election, and after that Ramakrishna Hegde had decided to seek a fresh mandate. He dissolved the Assembly, and then the Janata Party swept the Assembly election. What I'm driving at is that it's okay to believe that if Kannadigas voted for the BJP in the last 4 Lok Sabha polls, they can do it the 5th time in 2024 as well. Fair enough, especially when all surveys consistently vouch for Modi's undiminished popularity. But without contesting that notion, we can take note of a couple of points. Kannadigas did not vote differently in 2018 and 2019. In the 2018 Assembly election, they almost brought the BJP to power, making it the single largest party with 104 seats, with just 9 short of a majority. The BJP's vote share was also substantially more than what it was in 2013, and more than what it had lost to Vijayadhara party. Another point to take note of is that in the 2014 Lok Sabha election, during the Modi wave, the Congress won 9 of the 28 Lok Sabha seats. It was ruling Karnataka then. Now that it has swept the assembly polls, it's probably a better place for 2024. As for the notion of people voting differently, if one were to leave the surveys out, the example of the 2019 election does not necessarily hold good for 2024 too. Simply because the Balakot air strike had changed the mood of the nation in 2019. Opposition leaders also shot themselves in the foot with their cynical demands for proof of the damage on the Pakistani side. So if we agree that the Balakot strike made the biggest impact of the 2019 Lok Sabha election results, we can understand why PM Modi must be worried about 2024. It's true that there was a general sense of anger and frustration with the BJP-led government in Karnataka. The opposition successfully created a mahal or atmosphere of distrust against the Bommai government with with its pay CM, 40% commission government and other campaigns centered around alleged misgovernance and corruption, and also promoting a sense of insecurity and slight among various caste groups, especially Lingayats. The Lok Niti CSDS post-poll survey has shown that only 1/7 of the respondents had Bommai government's works on their minds when they were voting. Basically, only 1 out of 7 voters was thinking about Bommai government's performance when he or she was going to vote. 1/5 of the voters considered the works of both the state and the central governments. I'm just going by Lok Niti CSDS survey. 42% of the voters were somewhat dissatisfied and fully dissatisfied with the Bommai government's performance, 42%. But 41% of the voters were also somewhat dissatisfied and fully dissatisfied with the central government, according to the survey, which is quite credible, in fact, which has been credible. It has a very credible track record. There are many questions about the BJP's campaign strategy in Karnataka. Why did the BJP fight the election over Tipu Sultan, hijab, halal and love jihad? I mean, among other many polarizing issues. Whose idea was it to keep humiliating B.S. Yediyurappa after he became the chief minister in 2019 and even after he stepped down in 2021? Whose idea was it to replace him and make Lingayats feel slighted? Whose idea was it to deny tickets to Jagdish Shettar and Lakshman Savdi and further rub salt on their wounds? Whose idea was it to go for a reservation quota rejig? That actually left every community insecure and confused. Whoever gave this idea to the BJP High Command certainly did not know the pulse of Karnataka voters. But here is a problem. If the party's national president JP Nadda had no pulse of voters in his home state, Himachal Pradesh, how can PM Modi expect others to know better? If the Basavara's Bommai government was flailing, it was for all to see. How come the BJP High Command failed to see that? And if it did, how come nothing was done to fix the problem? And if the High Command was happy with Bommai's governance, why did the party completely ignore it, forget about it, and make Modi and his governance at the center, as a central plank in the Karnataka election? There are lots of questions, but no answers. That's what PM Modi must be worried about. Because a similar thing happened in Himachal Pradesh too. Then the BJP celebrated its success in the northeast, but the fact was that it barely managed to retain power in Tripura. Had it not been for Pradya Debarma's party, that Tipramotha, the BJP would have lost power in Tripura too. Tipramotha won 13 seats, but more importantly, it was instrumental in the defeat of Congress-left candidates on 18 other seats. If Dev Barma was not in the fray, the BJP IPFT would have been reduced to 15 seats in the Tripura Assembly. Again, the BJP celebrated its success in Meghalaya and Nagaland, but the fact was that the party made very little gains even in those two states, winning the same number of seats, 2 in Meghalaya and 12 in Nagaland, as it had done 5 years ago when it had joined the government in both states. Results in these northeastern states were hardly a cause of big celebrations. But the BJP went to town about it, and that's understandable because it had to send out a message of invincibility to demoralize the opposition and motivate party cadres. But PM Modi would know the reality for sure. He knows that Gujarat's victory last year was all his. The people voted for him, nobody or nothing else. Himachal results were a dampener. The outcome of polls in 3 northeastern states 2 months back was hardly a confidence booster. And now the Karnataka setback. PM Modi has reasons to be worried, not just about the next round of elections in 5 states in November, December, but also about the 2024 Lok Sabha polls. He knows that his party is floundering. He must be realizing now that a much hyped organizational machinery of the BJP becomes ineffective if he himself is not effective in assembly elections. You know, when Chandragupta succeeds, there are many Chanakyas to share credit. But if Modi magic does not work in assembly elections, the Chanakyas of the BJP simply lay the blame on lesser mortals for failing the party. There is always a debate about the need for opposition parties to build a new narrative. As it is, the opposition is seeking to build a new narrative around anti-incumbency. It's the BJP that needs a new narrative now. The same polarization tactics, the same promotion of Hindutva, nationalism, jingoism, and the same dependence on PM Modi to deliver votes through his own charisma and his welfareist governance. I mean, nothing has changed for the BJP since 2014. The BJP's electoral strategies are so predictable today. Their vulnerability gets exposed whenever there is a smart thinking opponent, like say Mamata Banerjee in Bengal, Arvind Kejriwal in Delhi, or DK Kumar in Karnataka now. So how can PM Modi fix the drift in the BJP? To start with, he may want to fix accountability for the political and electoral lapses. He may want to take a relook at the BJP's electoral strategy that's becoming so jaded and predictable. He has to put a stop to this high commandist culture and start promoting leaders who are contributing to the party's growth, like Yogi Adityanath, Himanta Biswa Sharma, and Deven Fadnavis, and not those who are feeding off his popularity to promote their individual ambitions. Party reforms aside, Modi needs to find out why people aren't buying his double-engine growth promise any longer. He had his ears to the ground for decades until he became the Gujarat Chief Minister in 2001. Blame it on the constraints of a Chief Minister or of a Prime Minister. He has largely been insulated and has to depend on the feedback from others who would obviously give him a rosy picture. 9 years into the Prime Minister's office, he needs an update on what's happening on the ground. He needs to convince his colleagues in the party and in the government that they should stop believing in their own propaganda, that all is well and everybody is happy. Census 2021 needs to be conducted urgently to find out the demographic and socio-economic changes in the country since Modi took over as the country's Prime Minister. The government shows so much sympathy for migrants, but does not want any concrete data about migration that a census should provide. BJP leaders talk about certain minority communities growing and hampering overall development, but they don't want any concrete data to substantiate it. They talk about the number of houses they have built, but they don't want to know how many more people need them. They talk about how the common man's life has been transformed by the Modi government, but they don't want any data to judge their claims with facts. They don't want a household consumer expenditure survey to tell us how much inequality has increased or reduced, how much people are spending on food or non-food items monthly, what cereals they are eating, how much people are spending on rent or education, how the bottom 5% is doing compared to, say, the top 5%, what energy sources people are using for cooking or lighting, and so on and so forth, all these things which should come in consumer expenditure survey. The government rejected the results of the expenditure survey for 2017-18 on so-called quality issues that nobody is convinced about. It was rejected apparently because the findings did not match the BJP's claims about development. Findings of another survey for 2022-23 would be ready by July, but the government is reluctant to make them public before the 2024 Lok Sabha election. I'm going by a report by the Indian Express. Crores of people have been added since 2011 census, but they don't figure in the government's policy formulations because the census the population figures you have are over 12 years old. That's why when the BJP launches a high-octane campaign making tall claims about how it had changed the lives of citizens, there could be many in the audience who could be feeling cheated and slighted because they might not have seen those changes in their own lives. To say that the BJP lost in Karnataka because of Bommai's misgovernance would be a travesty. When my colleagues and I were on the ground talking with the people in Karnataka, we witnessed a deep grouse among among them about the cost of LPG cylinders, diesel, petrol, and household items. Some of them even talked about demonetization, how it was supposed to end black money. They were not even aware of the much hyped Amrit Kal, which the PM says has brought unprecedented opportunities to the people. Yes, they still believed in Prime Minister Modi. They still thought that he is the best man suited for the job. But a narrative built on exaggerated claims of achievements that common men and women themselves have not experienced can become counterproductive. That's the message Kannadigas have sent through this assembly election. Those in the BJP who have made a fortune singing praises of Prime Minister Modi may not get it, but the Prime Minister knows what Kannadigas have conveyed to him. That's all from me in this episode of Politically Correct. Thanks for watching.